What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another F125 My Team Career Mode video. If you want to jump straight to the race start, it is at 2 minutes and 50 seconds. There are timestamps in the description down below if you want to jump ahead to the race chapter. But I'm going to take you through the race strategy for today's race, which is around Jeddah. A decent circuit. I feel like we're going to struggle with dirty air in the first sector, and then get all the slipstream in the world through Sector 2 and Sector 3. But I was playing around with the idea of doing the softer compounds. I saw Piastri running the soft quite successfully in Bahrain. I think it was Piastri. But I think with the dirty air, with the twisty nature of Sector 1, I'm going to run with the hard medium strategy. As you can see, we're on the hard right now, just warming up the tyres as much as possible through the formation lap. And we've actually got the Alpine of Jack Doohan and the Williams of Carlos Sainz just ahead of us here, and I think there's even a Haas and a Kick Sauber in the top 10 as well, which is a very mixed up grid for us here as we kind of get through this formation lap. You can see the McLarens up at the front, there is Ferraris and Mercedes, so we're gonna try and get through some of these, let's say, more equal teams to our car in the early part of the first stint, and then see if we can just hold on to the coattails of the faster cars ahead of us, who might also be on the hards. There's a bit of a mixed strategy here. Looks like some in the top 10 are going to run the mediums, and then the ones further down the order are going to run the hard compound tyres. But my tyres are pretty much up to temperature now, which is actually kind of surprising for the hards. I was expecting that they'd still be cold by the time we did get back to the grid, but it looks like, maybe with the exception of the right side tyres, that we might be pretty much up to temperature here. But all we need a pretty good slot on the grid. We do start in P10. And yeah, we need a decent launch, which is why heating up the rears is so important, which is what I'm trying to do now as we just run up towards our grid slot here, just behind Doohan and to the left of Carlos Sainz. There is Esteban Ocon as well, just ahead of Doohan, and then you've got like Leclerc and co ahead of him. Fernando Alonso just behind us, but all the lights are on. Now they're out as we go racing here, and a little bit of a story as we start to do our run down into turn 1. We're going to look to the outside of Jack Doohan and around the outside of Esteban Ocon as well, if he gives us the room, which he does. But on exit, those mediums look like they've got the edges. We have a bit of a snap of oversteer as well, and have a look to the inside, but there's just no room there really. It's such a short braking zone that you can't really do anything to do with overtakes unless you are a faster car or have a really strong run on the car ahead. Now, as I said before, Bortoleto and Ocon are just ahead of us, and we're going to look to get past those two cars and hopefully get onto the back of Charles Leclerc, who I think I saw was on the hard tyres, which is going to be a very interesting race strategy from Ferrari. Hopefully it will help us more than it helps Ferrari, but we can only wait to see as Ocon is all over the back of the Kick Sauber of Bortoleto just ahead of us as we now run into the very long straights of Sector 3. I don't even call these corners because it's just flat out, with the exception of the DRS detection corner just behind us. But there we go, Ocon and Bortoleto really distracted with themselves. We're going to go round the outside of not one but two cars at the end of lap 1, and that's crucial because the AI are a little bit slower in the first lap. But thankfully, when the AI go side by side, they lose heaps of time. As you can see right now with Oscar Piastri and Charles Leclerc battling it out, we can almost lift and coast and just really take our time here. We don't even have to push the tires. We don't have to risk our car and risk a spin or anything like that. But through this first sector, the dirty air is insane. It really holds you back immensely. And I almost didn't realize this. I thought it was just the hards. And it kind of is the hards as well, right? Because they are a much lower grip tire. But when you don't have the Dirty 8, you can actually compete, let's say. So we have a little bit of a moment coming out of the hairpin there. But you might notice a couple of weird things happening in this video. You might not. Hopefully I've done my job pretty well. But when I recorded the gameplay, my actual view of the race, the recording was super stuttery. And it's still a little bit stuttery. But what you're seeing in terms of the cars and everything like that isn't, with the exception of when I look back, it isn't, as I'm going to pause what I'm saying because we're going to go round the outside of Charles Leclerc and Oscar Piastri, similar to what happened with Bortoletto on the first lap.
Okay, there's a fault with the DRS. You will not be able to open the rear wing. We're working on a fix. Stay out for now.
As if it wasn't obvious enough, Mark, that we didn't have DRS. We were an absolute sitting duck there as we pull a masterful overtake. I'm just going to pat myself on the back there. But decent overtake around the outside. Now we're going to go to the inside of Piastri into the corner that I said wasn't easy to overtake at. But we make it stick. But yeah, going back to what I was saying before, gameplay, super stuttery, could not use it. It was unwatchable. What I did instead was use basically the replay function in the game just to record what you're seeing of all the cars on the track and everything like that. And then I've basically just taken the elements of the, you know, from the top left, the top right, the map, and also the dials at the bottom and put them over the top of the replay, if that makes sense. Because if they stutter, you don't notice it as much. But you do notice if cars are jumping around and the whole frame is stuttering as we're getting a little bit lost around this circuit. But we've done the job we needed to do in this first stint. We're on lap 8 already. We're holding on to the coattails of Charles Leclerc. I am pushing just to stay with him here. But thankfully the DRS is so powerful around this circuit that we can do things like this and go for an absolute massive lunge. We do lock up and go deep. Charles Leclerc with the switchback, but we get the DRS still. And then we're going to switch to the inside and just let the DRS do its job. But yeah, so it's been a bit of a crazy time editing this video. I do hope you're enjoying it so far. If you are, drop a like. If you're not, just tell me why I'm terrible at creating videos in the comments. Just go for it. As much profanity as possible, please. That always helps. But yeah, since we've gotten past Leclerc, we've moved forward a couple of laps, and I think they've boxed. So they are further down, and they're actually in the train that's behind us. If you look in the minimap in the bottom left, you'll actually see there's a bit of a train there with quite a few cars grouped together, and I think that's where the Ferraris are coming out, although it could be further back actually. Looking at the minimap, there's a McLaren and a Ferrari behind our teammate, a little bit further back behind our teammate, but still behind our teammate. So I'm hoping that they're going to battle and we're going to get the overcut going nicely for us. But in this part of the stint where we are not stuck behind the cars, we're actually doing pretty well with our lap times. We're kind of good on the hards. The hards have lasted pretty well, and you can see in the top right we're setting personal bests for this lap so far, and it looks like we are catching the Red Bull of Yuki Tsunoda, who's in P2 at the minute, not necessarily net P2 after the pit stops come to their finale, but Norris and Tsunoda into the pits. There is Norris. He pretty much almost had a pit stop on us. Not quite, maybe 15 seconds, something like that, ahead of us. So Tsunoda's probably going to come past us again in the pit, and we've got an issue with the front right, but Tsunoda seems to have also had an issue because we're closer to him now than we were when we entered the pit. So I don't know what quite happened there with Red Bull's pit stops, but we have crucially come out ahead of Piastri and Leclerc. So strategy working out quite nicely there with the overcut. I don't know if they got stuck in some traffic, and maybe they did. Maybe they were just battling amongst themselves as to who would end up sort of P3 on the road, which is almost where we are as we go a little bit deep into the end of Sector 1, running it all over the curb instead of skateboarding. But we've actually got Lando Norris in P1, Max Verstappen in P2, and then Tsunoda just ahead of us in P3. So this is for a podium right now. Piastri and Leclerc messed it up. I think Leclerc could have at least extended his stint a few more laps like we did, and he would have also been in this fight with Tsunoda as well. But again, once we get clean air, we are, I think, pretty fast actually around this circuit. Again, the AI with the curbings, with the racing line, they're maybe not the best, but they're still pretty good, right? Like they're still running around. But I'm also going to be increasing the AI difficulty as much as I can in the future. I am putting in a bit more practice. I am changing my settings slightly just to... I really want to get to 110 AI, man. But what I really want to do is do a massive lunge on Yuki Tsunoda, just like that one, and we do keep it on the track somehow. And yeah, if you're new and that isn't worth a subscribe, tell me what you need to see. But yeah, we are going to be increasing the AI. We are going to be practicing a bit more. Probably just doing some like open lobbies online, maybe some ranked, who knows. I probably won't be recording it. I might do. It kind of depends if I can sort out my system so that the recording isn't stuttery. Basically, I got a telemetry app just to try and help me improve with my racecraft and my overall skill, because I know that I have massive skill issues, as you can probably see from any of my videos. But purple sector 1, these mediums are definitely the tyre to go for as a race tyre around here. I think this will just disintegrate immediately. The hards, they're good, as we have a moment, but the hards are good if you want that longevity in the tyre. If you're going to go for a long stint, I actually think the hard medium strategy around here is king right now. This is pre-update, by the way, as well, so they did release an update for the game patch that is literally adjusting the bottoming out, which you can probably hear actually if you listen closely. That kind of like scraping sound, that's the car bottoming out. So basically I think they've reduced how much the car bottoms out. So basically we're going to be able to lower the ride height a little bit, and use that to get more pace and be quicker down the straights. I think it's maybe not crazy, the difference, but I think it's enough, because your turn-in is going to be much better, the car's not going to snap as much, and yeah, generally it's going to be a lot smoother for you, I think, especially when the car starts to bottom out around corners. It kind of reduces your grip as we go skateboarding around that curb, and there's no way we're going to make that corner, but it did slow us down enough that we actually lost time to Lando Norris, who is in P2, by the way. We're on lap 17 of 18. This is going to be one battle for the end, and I think Leclerc's too far back right now to catch us and do anything unless something goes crazy with Norris here in the next couple of laps. But we're in a very, very good position. I mean, the whole start of this race was crucial, I think, and even down to Piastri and Leclerc battling as we're almost going off track again in the dirty air behind Norris. I think these mediums have seen better days. I think you can also tell that is the case with our lap times in the top right. But as we start the final lap of this Grand Prix in Jeddah, we have half a second to Lando Norris in P2. We already have a podium to our name, and Leclerc and Piastri are battling like there's no tomorrow behind us. So P3's in the bag, but I want to go for P2. We have to go for P2. Our tyres are probably a little bit worse for wear than Norris's, because again, he's on the hards, so I think he's probably a bit quicker at this point, but we've got the advantage of DRS as well. So Let's see how this plays out. We've got about a minute left of this race, and we're going to see who can come out on top. I'm very confident. We have 2 long straight DRS zones, or sort of straight DRS zones. They're not that straight, but they are straight. Getting some good traction out of the mediums. Again, I changed some settings, adjust the force feedback, just my driving style a little bit as well, just to improve, practice, get better, get faster, and do stuff like this. We're going to open the DRS. Norris has no DRS. He probably has some ERS left. We're going to stick behind him for now, just so we can get the best launch and the DRS possible towards the final corner, which is when we're going to make our move. Again, turning on the battery here. We don't want to drain it all because we need some up to the line. Norris going defensive. We're going to go to the outside. Norris is going to have the DRS. We lock up, actually, going into the final corner. Norris to our inside. We have the DRS, actually. Scratch that. Norris, with the lightweight McLaren, gets the initial speed, and we just don't have the time.
Yes, mate, I'll take that. Well done. We're really happy with the podium down here, so well done. Yes!
And if you're wondering how jittery the gameplay was, just look at the screen right now in terms of this section. So stuttery.
The checkered flag is out. We're going to be hearing that Dutch national anthem again because it's victory for Max Verstappen.
No Verstappen, Max Verstappen. You heard it here.
And that's 2 wins in a row now. It's the start of potentially something special, but they can't get ahead of themselves just yet. It's a long way to go.
Yeah, great race for us. We still have a car that's way too heavy. The tyre wear's not great, but we are getting there.
It's been a hard afternoon of brilliant racing, but now it's time for some proper celebrations. The podium awaits. And for those that have missed the Dutch national anthem, fear not. It's back again because Max Verstappen is back on the top step.
Yeah, good race. Again, some development work to do on the car. AI to increase the difficulty of, and yeah, generally a good place, I think, for the F1 games. We'll see how the new update changes setups and things like that in the future. I think it does make the player a bit faster relative to the AI, which will be good for me as well.
And with that, we wrap up another weekend of motorsport action. But with more races lined up, be sure to join us when we come back with more Formula One.
Indeed, and let's just run down the race order of the finishing order of everyone. Max Verstappen takes the win, then Lando Norris, and then ourselves with fastest lap in P3. Then Oscar Piastri, Charles Leclerc, Tsunoda, Hamilton, Sainz, Hulkenberg, Ocon, Bortoletto, Gasly, Antonelli, Stroll, Alonso, Lawson, Behrman, Hauger, Doohan, Albon, Hadjar, and Russell, who DNF'd actually shortly after the start of the race. But for the driver standings, Max Verstappen just ahead of Lando Norris by 7 points there, and we're about 20 points back from the fight for the title. I don't think we're going to stay there, especially when we start to increase the AI. We're probably going to be closer to our teammate down in 20th. For the constructors, though, we are still sort of not quite in the fight, but it's a bit close for the midfield there. But the highlights are here for you now. And again, you might see a lot of the stutter again here. Basically, I think the telemetry I was using that basically just traces my brake inputs and throttle inputs fully. I think that obviously takes a toll on my computer, and along with recording in the way I was recording and the actual game itself, I think it just was a bit too much. So I think it was just struggling a bit. But the gameplay was fine. It was just the recording itself. So we'll see what we can do to change that. I've already made a couple of changes. I'm basically going to test it before I try and record another My Team, so you guys might not even see any issues in the future. But there you go. That is it. We're going to be back in a few days for round 6. Which I don't remember what the race is for that. But I hope you guys enjoyed. I really enjoyed this one. And yeah, I'll see you in a few days.